Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Lizzie and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite, my favourite fantasy series, or just series of all time. That's right, we are travelling to a second-hand dimension. We are going to be going on the back of 4 elephants, on the back of a giant turtle, swimming through space. We're going to Discworld. Discworld is a fantasy series by Pratchett that consists of 41 main books and all sorts of short stories, bonus content like companion books, maps, cookbooks, almanacs, diaries, plays, anything you could wish. There is Discworld of it. And because it's quite a long series, it's a daunting one, you know? I feel like if you were looking at it for the first time, I know if I was looking at it now, having never read it, I would be going, I'll save that for when I have time to read 41 books. But I come bearing good news. There are lots of reasons why you should read it, and you don't have to read all of them. So today, I'm just going to go through some reasons why I think everyone, but specifically you watching this video, should read Discworld. And maybe, if the mood takes me, I'll do a follow-up video of which books to start with as kind of a starting place, recommending different starting points. So reason number 1 that you should read Discworld, and I think this sort of fits in with what I've just been talking about. There is something for everyone, no matter how much you are willing or able to read. Yes, there are a truly immense number of books, but pretty much every book could be read as a standalone. Some of the later books, it helps to have read some of the earlier books to understand the characters and their backstories and what's happened before, but none of the books end in a cliffhanger. There's no real strong storyline that kind of gets resolved over the whole thing. It's a group of people who all live on the same fantasy world, and different books follow different characters. So if you want to read one Discworld book and love that one Discworld book for what it is, go right ahead, go for it, you'll have a great time. If you are looking for a vast, enormous fantasy world where every single corner is explored, then I have good news for you, my friend. There is so much here for you to enjoy. So no matter what flavour of fantasy you enjoy, there is something here for everyone. There really, really is. And you can engage on your own level, and you can just decide, you know what, I'm just going to read the books about the witches. I'm just going to read the wizard books. I'm just going to read the watch books. I'm just going to read, you can just cherry pick which ones you like, and you will still enjoy it and have a great time. Reason number 2. These books are genuinely hilarious. They're so funny. Sometimes it's like witty funny and you're like, I liked that. Sometimes it's laugh out loud humour. Sometimes the whole thing is just one big joke and that's hilarious. Sometimes it's a deep message wrapped up in hilarity, but you are guaranteed a giggle. In fact, if you love parody fantasy, this is the place to go. A fair number of the Discworld books are direct parodies of existing stories that we know. So Weird Sisters is a parody of Macbeth, and Masquerade is a parody of The Phantom of the Opera, and Carpe Jugulum is a parody of Dracula and sort of other vampiric things. And even within the everyday life of Discworld, everything's a parody of something. Which brings us on nicely to reason number 3 why you should read Discworld. Discworld explores fantasy tropes and ideas in a funny and poignant way. You know those people, I say those people, they're all those people who are like, yeah, but, where are the women dwarves? Terry Pratchett has the answer for you. If you've ever thought through a fantasy trope and you thought, but how does this actually affect real life? Why are witches female and wizards male? What's the difference between them? Why is this? Why is that? Whenever you've thought those things through, Discworld has the answer. Why does the princess always get married to the prince? Discworld has the answer. What happens if a vampire does decide to give up drinking blood for moral reasons? Discworld has the answer. What happens if the zombies decided they wanted human rights too? Discworld has the answer. Every single fantasy trope that is included in Discworld, which is basically every fantasy trope, is explored and extrapolated to, sometimes to breaking point, but in such a good way. In such a good way. It never feels forced. It always feels so kind of genuine and inquisitive. Of course, Death is fascinated by humans. He works with them all the time, but never gets to know one long enough to understand them. Of course, the entire army by this point is women who have dressed up as men to join the war. That would just make sense. All of these little tropes and stories that we hear are maxed out and brought to their silliest point, which is also their most human and tenderest point, and is used to explore so many ideas, which is just, it's fantastic. Reason number 4, the characters are just so wonderful. I love a fantasy book, but I also love anything with good characters. Characters are the most important thing, in my opinion, and Discworld is chock-a-block full of iconic characters. So many memorable heroes. I've already mentioned Death, the Grim Reaper, who is the main character in a fair few of the books. He appears in the highest number of books and he is everyone's favourite. We all love him. He's great. You have the witches. You have Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Og and Magrat and Agnes and Tiffany and all of the other witches as well. You have Susan, the know-it-all granddaughter who desperately does not want to have magical powers but does. You have the City Watch, some of my favourite characters. You have Sam Vimes, the grumpy commander who is begrudgingly determined to do the right thing. There's his second in command, Carrot, who is always a little bit of an enigma underneath his simple, righteous surface. And of course, Nobby and Sergeant Colon, and Detritus the troll, Angua the werewolf, Sybil, we love Lady Sybil. There are so many characters. Or the wizards, I haven't even started on the wizards. And they're all so well thought out, so in-depth, so they just jump off the page. They're so iconic and recognisable, and it's glorious. And finally, reason number 5, and this one links back a little bit to what I was saying about tropes and things, but the Discworld series explores some incredibly deep questions and ideas about morality and philosophy and what it means to be human, but it's all wrapped up in a nice fantasy bow. So you'll be happily reading a story about Father Christmas and the Tooth Fairy, and then bam, here's what it means to be human. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I love these books so much. I love the characters, I love the plots, I love how funny they are, how witty and creative everything is. And I love how, just as I'm absorbed in this fantasy world and enjoying the characters and enjoying the parody and all of that, I get like punched in the face by a big moral statement or question, and it blows me away every time. So much of Discworld itself is based on what it is to be a human, what it is to be people. And I think that's the biggest selling point of the whole series. That's what sets it apart. I mentioned earlier, why does the princess end up with the prince? Or the servant girl who goes to the ball and runs away at midnight. Why does the story always end a certain way? Why do we have these tropes? And Discworld explores that and says it's because we're human and we need stories to make sense of our lives. And on Discworld, that belief and that knowledge of those stories is powerful enough to make it happen every time. 1,000,000 to 1 chance happens 9 times out of 10 on Discworld, because what it is to be human, that belief and sense of story, is what shapes the world. And with that comes an incredible sense of doing the right thing. I mentioned Commander Vimes earlier. He is just one of many characters where he will do the right thing, no matter how begrudgingly, no matter, how much he doesn't want to. At the end of the day, he will do the right thing, and the right thing will prevail even though it shouldn't. And on one level it doesn't, but on another level it does, because on Discworld the good guys always win. If you have read the Discworld books, add in the comments what are the reasons that you think other people should read them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, give it a comment, and you know, if you are interested, I will do a follow-up of, you know, which books are good ones to jump in, to recommend some of my favourites for particular genres that people enjoy, and so on. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Ta-ra for now.